Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Brad Hannon.
And I'm Sean Noonan, and welcome to the Insurance Sucks podcast,
where we will talk about insurance, but we just make it suck less. And today, I've got my good friend, our good friend, a homie in the business, and definitely someone who makes it suck less, who makes insurance suck less. He coined the phrase sling it. He's gone out on his own, started a new agency, doing big things, always been doing big things. My friend, a speaker, just a great influencer in the industry, Pete Fournier. What's up, brother?
What's happening, guys? Thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for being here.
It's about time we had you, right?
Right? I was wondering when this was going to happen.
It's been too long.
We did have a couple-week break with all the travels and everything going on, and we're trying to squeeze as many as we can in here before things pick up again with SWAT and all the other events. And you know all about the events and all of that stuff, but it's been a long time coming getting you on the show. The podcast is really meant for the insurance industry, how we can kind of leave an impact on the industry, how we can make it suck less. And we know that insurance doesn't truly suck, but to the end user and to even a lot of the agents that have failed, it does suck to them, right? It doesn't suck to you and I, but you obviously have made a career out of it, and it certainly doesn't suck for you. When did you get started in the insurance industry? Give you a little bit of your background for those that maybe don't know you watching the podcast.
Yeah, so it used to suck for me.
Yeah.
First few years always do.
Yeah, so I started in college, unlike most people. So I basically could have lit my degree on fire.
Right.
So started as an intern for a captive my senior year, only because my fraternity brothers were selling it. And one came back with like a Chrysler Crossfire. And at the time I was like, damn, that's a ride, bro. And you're an idiot. So what do you do? Like, oh, I'm selling insurance. And I was like, sign me up. So the first one was like, write down 200 people that you know, and now go try to sell them some stuff. And I was like, how? And they were like, you just do it. And I was like, cool, good talk. So that part sucked.
Traditional MLM style.
Yeah. When I graduated, I went to another captive because they provided free leads, which was cute. Was there for about a year and a half, and then went independent in like mid 2012 or so. And when it really did suck was I was really good at selling the dream and recruiting 1 million people. I wasn't living the dream by any means, but I could sell the shit out of it. Am I allowed to curse on the podcast?
You can curse all you want on this podcast.
We encourage it.
Yeah, perfect. I like this.
Sentence enhancers.
So I recruited 68, 70 agents within probably like a 45, 60-day span. Most of them were unlicensed. Didn't teach them how to solidify or nothing.
Definitely had all the time in the world to train them and spend time closing sales.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just really doing it right.
That's right.
So, in about October of 2012, I got hit with like 48,000 and change of roll-up debt as like a 23-year-old kid.
You didn't even know what roll-up debt was until it hit you.
Didn't know until I got the invoice essentially in the mail. Back then, they actually mailed you statements, so that was even scarier. You didn't get an email, and you could just be like,
Didn't see that one.
Don't even believe it. Don't even believe it's real.
I didn't see that one. So that took me about 18 months to dig out of that hole, and then had some success along the way after that. But during that first 2.5, 3 year span, insurance really sucked.
How didn't you quit when you had 50,000 in debt? Like why didn't, I mean, I've heard that story before, but I've never asked you, like, why didn't you just like say, well, fuck the insurance industry, then I'll go do something else?
I mean, I pretty much quit every single friggin' day back then. I so depressed. I was sleeping till like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, like just trying to go to appointments. And I took a W-2 job at a P&C agency at the time, like just to like get some steady flow of income because I only had like 2 or 3 carriers. So everything I wrote went to roll up. Yeah, so it was like, I was net negative.
You were working for the carrier at that point.
Literally. Yeah. I was a W-2 without being the W-2.
It's kind of like the mob.
Yeah. 100%. That I was flipping friggin' Pokemon cards because I'm nuts. And I had the one since we were like 6 years old. So that kind of helped dig me out of it. I
bet you that was a large majority of it. Truly, your Pokemon cards probably about $47,000 worth of the debt, and then you just made $1,000 in commissions. Right?
I mean, that's one booster
I
box
tell you
these
what,
days.
I sold. I'll never forget. I had a booster box.
He just said booster box. You didn't catch it, but he just said booster box days.
Yeah, that's right.
I had a shadowless booster box.
Oh.
Didn't open it because as a kid, I was like a weirdo, and I would want 2 of everything for like Christmas. And if my parents bought me Pokemon cards, I'd be like, get me less, but get me 2 of each, and I'm going to keep one unwrapped because that might be worth something one day. Because my dad told me a story about how he threw out like a Babe Ruth birthday
God.
baseball card when he was like a kid, or he put it in his spokes. I forget what the details were. And I was like, I ain't
Painful.
doing that.
Never doing that.
So I had a booster box. I sold that shit on eBay for like $8,800.
Wow.
I was like, yeah, like big win. Logan Paul sold the same box like 6 months ago for like 120,000.
Shut up.
Yeah.
That sucks. But it did get me out of debt. So like the money then was more important than saving.
You needed that 88 grand more than Logan Paul.
8,800.
8,800. Sorry, 8,800 my bad.
Yeah.
More than Logan Paul.
88 grand would have been.
Oh yeah, you would have been golden.
I wouldn't have even been mad. Like, yeah, whatever. Logan Paul sold it for 120. I sold it freaking 8 years ago for 88.
Yeah,
So yeah, 8,800 is a little different. That's brutal.
So that was tough. I moved back in with my parents, lived in my parents' basement for 18 months. Started dating my now wife at the time. So, we Netflixed and chilled a lot because that's all I could afford to do.
Yeah.
I did, though, like a psychopath, fall asleep to The Secret almost every single day on Netflix. And it took a little while for me to like believe that was not like hocus pocus and real and stuff. But eventually it started working. But it did take a while.
Subliminally, like you were sleeping and it was just going in and taking root.
Because every day you wake up and it's like more bills, no money's coming in, all the money's going out. You're in the worst negative headspace on the planet. I felt like a real piece of shit.
Yeah, that's why I like to fall asleep to The Office.
More realistic.
Really solid sales techniques they teach you there.
Inspirational quotes from Michael Scott.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, listen, it's cool to hear that too, because I mean, kind of fast forward, you give the backstory. I would imagine that probably 95% of the people that know me and follow my content and know who you are as well. So, taking it full circle to, now and even, recent, like less recently, a couple of years ago, you're well known in the space, slinging it. You've got a playbook. You've got what I think, Pete Fournier, I don't think anybody is probably better at getting strategic referrals, in the sense that for sure every client's going to generate 2.5 referrals or 3 referrals or whatever, and you've got that down to a science. So I would be remiss if I had you on here and didn't give you the floor to kind of just share the condensed version of your referral process and how you've been able to grow the way that you have.
Yeah, and the positivity of being in all that debt and was me trying to manage my ROI all the time. So to do that is get free leads, right? Which stem from referrals. So at the time, I think our like brand new leads were like $22, something like that, which at the time I was like, oh my God, they're so expensive. Now, if I had $22 fresh direct mail leads, I would pee myself, so I'd be retired. So on the referral process, I tried a bunch of different stuff. Nothing really worked. A lot of the agencies would teach you like, oh, just write down a bunch of people, or we'll give out a free AD&D certificate. And like, those never pan out.
Tell them you'll send them a gift card for Starbucks, or
it sucks.
You'll buy the referral.
All that does is give the agent a false sense of security and saying, well, I got 15 referrals in that house. No, you didn't. I can't get 15 referrals in that house. Or would I want to, because they're not real, right? So the easiest training wheels that I used in the beginning, because I saw a ton of life insurance, is leveraging the beneficiaries of the life insurance policy. One, because you're doing your job for the person, right? 9 times out of 10, people don't even tell their beneficiaries that they're their beneficiary,
for sure,
or what they bought or anything. So someone dies and the kid's running around like, oh, I hope they had a policy. Like, there's no communication.
Yeah.
So during my presentation, after I sell them and I'm listing the beneficiaries on the policy, I let them know, listen, Joe and Mary, it's not my job just to get you insured today. It's also to explain to your beneficiary what it means to be a beneficiary. So I'm going to give them my contact information. I'm going to give them the carrier information, claim forms, etc. And if it's okay with you, I'm going to tell them what you bought, because they should know when they're going to formulate a claim, and maybe they don't have something in place like mom and dad has. So if it's okay with you, while I'm filling out this app, can you text them real quick, let them know that you're putting them as your beneficiary and that your agent's going to reach out for 15 or 20 minutes and review what that actually means. Okay. And then I'll go down to my computer and start typing. Back in the day, it was all paper apps, and they'll whip out their phone and they'll text them and be like, hey son, you know, I made you my beneficiary on my insurance policy. My agent's going to call you. Very non-invasive, non-salesy, easy peasy. Then when you call the beneficiary, I do everything that I promised. I explain what it means. I go over the carrier claim forms, my contact info, etc. And then I simply ask them, hey, do you guys have anything in place outside of work? It's good to delineate that, right? Outside of work, like mom and dad bought. And usually it's like, yes, no, maybe so. You're always in a selling situation, though, at that point, because whatever they say, you can go down one of 4 paths that they take you down, and you can ultimately close them. I also make sure to tell them how much it costs for what kind of benefit they got, because theirs is probably going to be half or like a third of the price, right? So that's a value prop right then and there. So if you're doing that in every single sit, and I tell life insurance salespeople, if you're working full time and you don't have 20 sits a week, you're doing something wrong. 20 presentations, that could be an in-person sit or over the phone. If you suck, you'll close 30%. Okay. So if insurance sucks for you, you'll close 6 out of 20. And then out of that 6 out of 20, you should get 3 beneficiaries per policy. That's 18 referrals a week. If you're working 50 weeks out of the year and taking 2 weeks off, that's almost 1,000 free leads a year.
Not just a lead either, a referral lead, like a lead that closes at a much higher ratio.
50% higher. Traditionally. So if you're closing at 30, you're going to close a referral at 45%, right? So again, if you're absolutely atrocious at your job and you talk to 1,000 people, you're going to write 300 friggin' policies in a 12-month period. I don't know how people are not making money in this industry. It's baffling.
Well, to be fair, we just explained how sometimes people, you don't suck shit long enough to figure this stuff out that you figured out, right? Like you just have to keep swimming, right? And a lot of times people compare your success now with their success where they're at, and it's like, I mean, you started in 2012, like we're talking a decade, right? That sucks shit for a little while. Like that's why we say that insurance sucks, right? Because it does, and I think the quicker you, like it can for certain people at certain times, and the quicker you realize that, the quicker you can say, hey, I'm paying my dues, right? I'm earning my way through this, and I'm making a decent living doing it, or I'm not making a decent living, so I got to go get a part-time job doing something else that, you know, will allow me to sustain. So that's huge, man. That's really big. And go ahead.
People, sorry, not to cut you off, Brad. I think people need to realize too, when it does suck, in the grand scheme of my career, it sucked for like 12 to 18% of the entire time. Now, when you're in the suck, it feels like forever, and you're never going to dig your way out of it. But looking back, it's like a blip on the timeline. So if you can have the fortitude to get out of it, right, it's not going to feel that bad later on.
Not to mention the way you come out of it, like the fortitude to get you through. You may not even have the fortitude at that moment in time, but once you get through it, you've built more fortitude. Like you've built, like everybody knows my story, being kind of 18 months in, 19 months in, then you know, crashing and then having to suck shit again. And that was very small, limited window, right? A few months to where I got to spool it back up and started to feel good about myself again and say, hey, I can do this again. And then you do it again and you're like, well, I never have to worry. I never have to worry again. I never have to have any golden handcuffs. I never have to, you know, I'll always be able to create a living for myself in this industry because I've done it once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, you know, whatever. I know I can do it 10 times if I needed to. So it's pretty cool to hear. And I know you sell a lot of life insurance, but maybe something that you haven't shed as much light on, because even, I mean, as a buddy, even I didn't know that you did a whole lot of this, and I've recently seen more of it. But I know with the advent of the new company, which I want to get into, the new agency, you're kind of covering all bases, including, you know, group health and individual health for that matter. I mean, you're kind of doing it all. How did the transition or at what point did you transition from, just life insurance to kind of learning other avenues? Because, I think before you get there, I think it's good for some, but maybe not everybody, right? I think there's certain people, maybe you don't have the capacity to do more beyond the life insurance and Medicare, or, maybe you're overwhelmed as it is. And so I'm not saying this to say that everybody should learn all lines. Okay. He did this over 10 years. So I'll preface it with that, but at what point did you start to dabble into other things?
Yeah, I sold primarily life insurance and primarily 2 to 3 carriers at most for about 3.5, 4 years before I even touched another product line. I started in the group space by selling ancillary. So when I started insurance on the individual side, my dad he got downsized from a corporate job a couple of years before, and he started on the group side almost at the same time. So he was working with Colonial, which is voluntary products for companies. Right. And I was working on the individual side, and I met some health brokers and stuff. And I was like, with all due respect, you guys can tell, I was like, this shit seems
don't tell everybody.
Every company needs it. They all have it as long as you're over a certain threshold group wise. I was like, I know what a deductible means. I know what a copay is, whatever. So I had a friend's parent that owned a little vet clinic. It was like 13, 14 lives. And I pitched them and I had no idea what the hell I was doing. And they were like, okay, yeah, you can take over our account. And I was like, cool, I do health insurance now, right? On top of what I was doing before. So that helped.
That's exactly how I got into it too. Just sold the policy. Oh, I guess this is easy.
Yeah. But to your point, Brad, is like, it was 3.5, 4 years before I touched another product. And I told this story maybe at last SWAT or something like that in a breakout. I don't really remember. But I said when I first started independent, I had 2 carriers, right? And I had so much activity going on that if I walked into a house and they had like, one leg and they were on XYZ medication and I could have probably placed them somewhere, I just left.
Right.
I was like, I don't have a carrier for you. I can't underwrite this. I'll come back in like 3 to 6 months when I get more carriers and I get more trained up. And that's it. I didn't worry about, like you see on the Facebook groups, like, oh, who do I place this person with? I know you want to help everybody, but all those comments mean to me is that you don't have enough activity during the week.
Yep.
I didn't care about leaving a house because I had 19 other people to see. So it didn't matter. So stay focused, very finite focused on 1 or 2 carriers or 1 or 2 product lines for your first 2, 3, 4, 5 years, because you don't need that new shiny toy syndrome and you don't have to be able to sell everything.
Yeah.
You can have referral partners in the beginning that actually teach you stuff back and right. Yeah. Expand within your portfolio, but do it slowly.
Yeah. And I think that's huge too, because I mean, as we all know, there's a million different insurance products out there. Every carrier's got hundreds of different options that they offer. And everyone's like, well, I want to be able to offer everything to everybody. You can do that, but you'll never have any time to actually prospect or sell or help anybody because you're going to be too busy getting contracted and trying to figure out all these weird details. Like you said, you walk into a house and someone's got 1 leg and they're on, insulin pump and all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, I can't help this person. It's not worth my time. Like, focus on one specific aspect of the industry that can get you to that next level. Because, I mean, what you said mirrors exactly what Brad did, where you guys started and you literally focused with 1 or 2 carriers focusing on the same type of product, and you went with carrier A or carrier B. That was it. And if they didn't fit that mold, thanks, can't help you right now. Follow back up with you when I can, but I'm going to go on to the next person that I know who can help. And I think a lot of agents struggle with that aspect because they want to help everybody. And that's just not it. You're not able to.
I think you're giving them too much credit saying they want to help everyone. I think they're chasing a dollar. I think they're they're chasing some dollars, and not to knock that. I mean, we're all trying to make a living. Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, exactly. We're all trying to make a living, so I get it. But you're stepping over. What's that? Stepping over a dollar to pick up a nickel or whatever it is. And then the other thing that comes to mind is Robert Kiyosaki's quote, right? Focus, follow one course until successful. If you're struggling to make a living in this business and you're selling Medicare, or if you're struggling to make a living and you're selling life insurance, you know, just selling another line isn't necessarily going to be easier. I will say, I mean, the easiest is under 65 health individual. So, you know, you could maybe trip and fall into some business there, but, you know, it's so important to follow that one course, really master it. And I think of, you know, just, what was it, a year and a half ago when you learned Medicare? Remember when you did like, you know, all out focused.
You're selling the Uber driver.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Last year at SWAT, but you're following one course until successful. I mean, would you say your life insurance production went down when you were learning Medicare? Like just temporarily?
Oh yeah. Yeah, of course. Because I could write XYZ amount of life insurance in my sleep. So at that point, then transition, right? If I sit with 10 people, I'm going to close 8 or 9.
Right.
No sweat. But Medicare, I had to like learn. So you also have to build up a little nice bankroll. And we could get into this. I'll talk about this with the formation of the new company, because that was a little scary too. But you need a little nest egg over here before you start learning something new, because this is going to plummet. It's the same thing with recruiting. Oh, I want to build a team. No, you don't, because people are going to take money out of your pocket because you need to train them. Now, if you have an upline or somebody to do it for you, by all means, go nuts recruiting. But if you're doing it, you're always going to have to give up something monetarily or time-wise to put forth the effort in something else. Right?
Yes.
So when I went out during AEP, 2 AEPs ago, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. But all I did was sell Medicare. I cross-sold a little like hip plan here and there, like a cancer. But I tried not to even push life insurance because I wanted to master the Medicare sale, right? And that was it. And it was kind of a joke. Medicare is not really selling. But it wound up.
You were just enrolling people all day long.
Yeah, no offense, Medicare sale people, but it's not. Yeah. Also, to your point, too, you said something that really or should stick with people. There is no easy segment of insurance. ACA or under 65 health or Medicare might be easier to sell than life, but it's much harder to live your first year if you're just selling said products that are easier. So you're always going to have something that's more difficult along the way if it comes with ease on the upfront, transaction. This business is not easy, but it is stupid simple, right? Buy leads, you see people, you sell people, you do it
There's
again.
a learning curve. Once you figure out the curve, it becomes simple.
Most other things are like that too, in the way of like, you've got maybe, yes, ACA is easy because it's kind of an enrollment, or, Medicare is kind of easy because it's kind of an enrollment over a sale, but the money is made on the upsell. When you start to sell an ancillary product or whatever, I think of like an event. Okay. Everybody talks about events. You lose money hosting an event. Events are, don't get into events because we just lose money. Well, it's like, yeah, right. I mean, let's be serious. You're just doing it because it's a hobby then. I mean, you lose money on the event. We know this. We get this. Maybe you break even if you're lucky, but you're making money somewhere else, right? And that's on the upsell, that's on the cross sell, that's on the lifetime value sell, like whatever it might be. There's that portion. So if you're doing it and it's easy and you're not making enough money, it may be because you need to add some of this type of stuff. So let's get into that though, the all things insurance group, because man, that was exciting for me to see, to do that. I mean, we kind of knew, everybody knows that it's kind of the natural inception of this, and eventually you're going to kind of do that. So it was cool to see, but I was also shocked to hear some of it. I'll let you kind of share on that. I won't overshare, but you jump in and was it easy? I mean, you had all this success in insurance. Would you just kind of segue your success and parlay that into more success right away?
Yeah, no. So I made a decision kind of over the holidays to really start. I'm not going to call it an IMO because, you're technically not at the top with some carriers, but I mean, comp wise, I guess I'm an IMO now.
Right.
But I wanted to start a brand new, fresh agency that's more of a platform too, where you could help. I've always been seen as the life insurance guy, and that's what my primary focus is. But I want to be able to help assist the health insurance market, the Medicare market, the RIAs, the financial advisors, et cetera. And I know a little bit, enough to be dangerous, on all things life and health. So I was like, well, let's name the company that.
All things.
So I'm surprised All Things Insurance Group was not taking it. It's been great for SEO.
Right.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
The name of your company matters just a little.
Agreed.
Right. And don't make it like Pete Fournier agency docket. Like, no,
because who the hell is that?
Yeah.
Name it something cool, right? Especially from an advertising perspective. So I always enjoyed recruiting. I enjoyed helping agents. I like seeing other people succeed and making the kind of money that they should be making in this industry. And sometimes you can only do that when you decide to go out on your own and make it happen.
Right.
So I took a lot from a lot of different mentors along the way. I took the good. I tried to eliminate the bad, and I'm constantly learning and evolving. And it's very funny when you get to this situation where you're building your own thing, right, completely from scratch. And you see people out there saying, oh, man, agents should get free leads, top comp, CRM, tech, and you should be on call 24/7 to help them underwrite cases. Like, are we nonprofits? I don't understand what's going on here, right? But I guess people don't like making money. Like, I want my agents to succeed, but I also need to eat, right? So coming up with those strategies on different comp levels and where to place people and what benefits.
And where the hell the money comes from.
Where the money comes from, right? And how much can you give away, at least in the beginning, to help them get started, but also you got to make a dime when they make a dollar, right? At least to keep yourself profitable. So all that was a waiting game. But I will tell you what I was mentioning before on having the nest egg, it is very expensive to start something by yourself. So I initiated contracting moves and switches and new EINs. Get an attorney on retainer if you can. That's like the best investment you can make because, you know, you're already paying them. So they're going to set everything up for you. So that was awesome. But it was like a solid 95 to almost 100 days. No dollars coming in and all dollars going out, right? I was looking at my credit card bill from Amex and being like, and I know personally, right? I was talking to one of my business coaches about it because I was stressed. And he was like, dude, you're going to be okay. You're just investing in a startup. You think like Elon or any of these other people like didn't pour money in before they're taking money out. And sometimes we forget that in the insurance space because we're buying leads, we're writing business, and we're like, man, we're a profitable business. It's not really a business, right? So investing with no money coming out, really terrifying. So I've been going balls to the wall for the past like couple weeks. Now that my contracts are all aligned, I'm going back in the field. I'm personally producing. I wrote like 16K this past week because I have to until everybody migrates over and the agency gets fully contracted and stuff. So sometimes you got to eat shit even when you're at a quote unquote level of success or other people view you at a level of success because you're constantly reinvesting, right? So I don't mind going out and making 15, 20 grand in a week so I could build up that bankroll once again. Because I know it'll pay out dividends over the course of time. But you got to be prepared to do that. You know,
that's huge. Yeah, that's huge, man. And you know, you are at some sort of level of success, right? Everybody can agree to that. What if 1 through 10, you're at a level that's not 1, and so even to transition out of that level to the next level, it took a little bit of downsizing, and I think or like contraction, I guess is a better word for it, and that I see, risk too. Yeah, you see that at every single level. You know, whether you're just an agent starting out, trying to write business, and then reinvest, and then you finally did, and you made $2 grand. You're like, holy shit, now I can get caught up on bills, or I can buy some more leads to then make some more money. What do I do? You know, and you know, a lot of people go the safe route where, you know, I've always been a risk taker. Maybe it's the gambler in me, I don't know, but I've always been a risk taker. I've always been willing to bet on myself. It's kind of what I'm talking about at SWAT is betting on yourself. And you know, I think that's all you did there is right. You bet on yourself. You took the funds that you did have that you worked hard for, that you could say, hey, this is what I've worked hard for, and I'm going to go on a vacation, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. And you made the decision to contract a little bit to then expand forward, or, you know, propel forward and get to that next level. And, you know, for someone like you, for someone like myself, I don't think it ever stops. You know, I don't think that all things financial or all things insurance group will eventually contract again to then grow again, and you know, it continues on. But what are some of the biggest challenges aside from just, you know, just the not making money and trying to figure out kind of a new level? What were some of the biggest challenges that you didn't see? Like, because, you know, I'm not going to make money. I'm going to have to go through a bunch of contracting mess. I'm going to have to do this, that, and the other. Like, you kind of can forecast that, but what are some of the things you didn't forecast that you're running into now?
The immediate need for staff. And I think it's super important. Like, I have interviews for a personal assistant. I have I'll call him or her an admin, right, for the business, but I also have resumes out there for a personal assistant. As soon as you can offload, you know me, and you're the same way. We're bougie as shit, right? I don't want to do laundry and coffee and stuff like that. And it's not because you're like a turd. It's because time is worth something. And when I have to drive across town to go get laundry, like, that's 45 minutes or whatever it is, because Wilmington's really spread out, where I could be doing something that's business related. So I do have resumes out for both of those. I should hire one in the next 30 days here. But the importance of a support staff, and you got to train the hell out of them, which, like, coming into this, I was like, you should just know what are you doing? Like, you don't know how to do a transmittal or submit contracting paperwork. And these poor people are like,
what's a transmittal?
Yes, you know, I don't know what you're talking about. So not only hiring, but effectively being able to train them is super, super important. The other thing is systems and processes for tracking the money. So on the micro, a lot of times, and I was like this, I spent $2,000 on leads. I made 5. I was like, cool. Easy. I made 5, right? I wouldn't even think about netting 3. I was like, I made 5. No, you didn't, right? Plus gas and tolls and groceries and everything like that. So that on a larger scale, like, we got about 160 or so contracted agents now. Fully ready to roll. Commission reports are very long and antiquated from the carriers. You guys see it all the time. Yeah. So being able to compartmentalize that, analyze that, look at things like lifetime value of the client versus lead spend versus ROI, chargeback risk, etc. Having someone monitor that. Right now, it's Meg, even though she has a full-time job. She's right now temporarily. She's volunteering as the COO until I find someone like that. But those processes that me and you might suck at, right? You got to offload that immediately, because I'm terrible at paperwork. I spent 90 days, 95 days getting this thing up and running. It probably should have took me like 40, but like, you're selling, you're doing events, you're doing that front end stuff, because that's who we 3 are. Right. I'm not good at like, hey, send over your E&O and your state licenses. I'm like, I don't even know where those are. Google Drive? Like, help. You know,
search your email.
You turn around and go, help, and there's nobody standing there, right? It's just you. So that stuff was hurdles that I had to get over the last 3 months. Yeah, and that's valuable insight for any agent at any level when you do finally, you know, like when you do take that next step, no matter what step it is, right? You're going to have to contract a little bit before you can expand. It's just kind of the nature of life, right? You're going to have to give something up if you want to get something new. Right. New, better, bigger, further on, you know, whatever. So it's cool. It's been cool to watch. For me, it was a big eye opener. We were at Medicare Con, and you walk through, you know, holy shit, I didn't have money coming in for 90 days. And, you know, it was like, for the first time in a long time, I felt like, holy shit, you know, and that's, I think, a good feeling for, you know, someone like you to actually, you know, fire you up and get you out there.
Get back in the trenches again.
Yeah. Get back in the trenches and do the things that we do. And so, you know, you just heard it from Pete Fournier, the full life cycle from, you know, sucking to trying to figure it out how to pay $48,000 in roll-up debt to, you know, now trying to launch an IMO and getting that IMO off the ground. 90 days. How many days are we in now? Like 3 months, 4 months, 5 months?
Well, this will be the 5th month. And like last week, officially, we were pretty set for contracts on all fields, which is pretty good. Yeah. The other thing that nobody tells you, because no one really knows, is like how long or short this is going to take. Like, there's no like IMO in a box,
right? Yeah,
and you're like, do these things and you'll be up and running in 45 days, you know. And hiccups will happen in any aspect of your business. But some things like hey, if the carriers make a mistake, no offense, carriers, if you're listening, but if like, you know, ABC carrier loses the contracting paperwork, which happened,
they will do it.
Our carriers, they were like, oh, it was never sent. And I had to go back and be like, oh, it was sent January 16th and now it's April 1st and nobody's contracted yet. Like those things will happen. So you kind of got to keep a clear head, right? I got Meg for that a little bit, plus bourbon every once in a while.
I was going to say, keep a clear head and a full bottle.
But it's stressful shit that you'll run into. And the only thing that does make it a little bit less stressful is if you built up a nice little nest egg. It's the same thing as like, even on the micro, when we talk to agents about like switching, right? Oh, they want to come to your opportunity or they want to come to my opportunity or whatever. The onboarding process is not
such
like,
a pain in the ass.
Hey, I'm going to come work for Pete Fournier. I'm going to start making money on Monday. Like the carriers aren't going to allow you to do that. So if you have problems with releases, if you have problems with getting contracting appointed, whatever the issue is, plus mail drops, whatever you're doing, there's always going to be more of a delay than you think. So make sure you're financially okay and you're not flipping the fuck out.
Well, because you will be if you're not. Yeah. If you're not financially, if you don't have that nest egg, you will be. You absolutely will be.
Yeah. And if you don't have that nest egg, then dive into it head first and don't come up for air.
Go write some damn business.
Yeah.
Don't leave. Like I did a video the other day. It did pretty well on Reels. I was pretty proud of myself. Where it was like 90% of the time it's the agent. So like if you're not savvy and you're stressed out and you're like, man, maybe I want this new opportunity or whatever, it's going to be better. Man, if you suck over there, you're probably going to suck over here.
Yeah, you better look inward first.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I gave you an amen preach, like a couple emojis on that one. Cause that was, I think I even I shared it to my stories. It was so good. I'm like, I'm not even going to recreate this for you. I'll just use Pete's because it's spot on. So, well, I appreciate that, man. And as much as we love insurance, we know insurance sucks less. One of the ways we're making it suck less with this podcast is to kind of get into the things that insurance agents and non-insurance agents for that matter do outside of the insurance industry. And like I said before, you know, when I think Pete, I think like racquetball pro, like pro racquetball. If you didn't know that about Pete, he played professional racquetball, like acting and theater and singing and music. And, I mean, if there's anybody in insurance that has too many freaking hobbies, it's Pete Fournier, or he's too good at too many things. It's Pete Fournier. So I don't know where you want to start, whether it's watches because you got the Rolex behind you, but like, what is Pete doing when he's not building IMOs and you know, selling $15,000 a weekly in commissionable products?
Yeah, I have so much ADHD, it's disgusting. So I have to constantly be doing stuff. I should almost move to Florida because we have almost winter in North Carolina, but I should live there because I could be outside the whole time. I used to do a lot of musical theater. I'm like a musical theater junkie. I love singing and dancing and acting. I ran my high school alma mater's theater program for like 4.5 years. After I graduated, I love this stuff. I love music. You see my drum set in the background. I got a guitar over here somewhere. Jam out every once in a while. Really enjoy rock climbing. I did play a bunch of pro tournaments for racquetball. I played in college. I'll play now and smoke anybody listening to this podcast. If you'd like to play me for money,
to be fair, this isn't a very great audience, right? I mean, we don't have a bunch of racquetball pros watching this. At least I don't think.
Maybe after this week.
I have been getting into pickleball. You know, my issue, I love watches, but I'll go more into detail about the hobbies. But my one issue is I overly obsess about something to the point where like I can't even enjoy it anymore. So with watches, right? I bought a Breitling, my first Breitling, 4 or 5 years ago. We were in Punta Cana. They're like, oh, it's tax-free. Little did I know that a brand new Breitling doesn't really retain its value in the watch market, right? So I got hosed on that one when I wanted to trade up. And I was like, damn, I got to learn everything there is to know about watches.
So I don't lose money again.
That's not like a natural thought process of most people.
And it's not simple either.
Right? I don't want to lose a dime ever again. So I went hardcore learning. And I mean, I occasionally flip them. I own 4 or 5 now. I just like trading up and out, whatever. I'm wearing like a 1 of 25.
I love that thing too.
I've never seen before. Love the watch game. Pokemon cards. I got some that I need to send out for grading over there. I like I'm a big proponent of like profiting from your passions, right? You can still like hobbies, but I kind of want it to
make
be
money.
attached to some monetary value, because why not? Me and Brad want to play cornhole for free? No.
No, we're gambling for sure.
That's right.
And Hannon and I will smoke probably anybody on this podcast.
Anybody for sure.
So we'll be okay. But I always want to attach like a monetary value. So racquetball tournaments, I used to try to enter into pro stops for that paid out, as long as you got to like the quarters or whatever. Tennis, same thing. Pickleball, I picked up. I played for the first time with Hannon.
But for money? I don't know that we've ever played for money.
No, not for money, but I play pickleball because I get Medicare clients from it.
There you go. There you go.
I do love
for old people, right? So I probably got 15, 16 med sups my first AEP just by saying, hey, what do you do? And they'd be like, I'm retired. What do you do? And I'm like, I am a Medicare specialist.
But I like to play pickleball too.
Yeah, 60 days into Medicare. I'm a specialist, you know? It's all right. So it's like, give me your med sup. But it worked. So any hobby that like I enjoy, I also try to attach a monetary value to. It's also fun because, God forbid, because it will at some point in everybody's career, if shit hits the fan in your main gig, which in our cases are insurance, I know enough about watches or Pokemon cards or playing racquetball that I can go out and make some more money as a side hustle if something happened in the business that erupted. So having that escape, and it's still fun, is really important to me.
So there you go. Pete's secret to having a million hobbies is to make sure they're all making you money.
Yep, that's right. That's what I always say too. Like I've got a lot of different hobbies outside of insurance, and all of them bring in some type of money. Like I enjoy that my hobbies are money driven. So
some new dunks I got.
That's right.
He's got he doesn't have the good ones on right
now.
No, all of our new hobbies are trying to make money, shoes or whatever. Tell them about
Pokemon cards.
Tell them about your freaking Pokemon cards. Yeah. Tell them about your most recent Scotty Cameron deal. You're gonna freak on this, or even yesterday's lightsabers.
Yeah. I mean, this was a good week in hobbies. So Scotty Cameron, obviously, Pete golfer. You know.
Yep.
Scotty Cameron's not a cheap brand. It's the Rolex of golf, basically.
Big time.
Yep.
And they do theme drops for most holidays. If you can manage to grab a bag, it's highly profitable. They had a Cinco de Mayo bag they came out with. It's $500. It's coming. It'll be here on Tuesday, I believe. I can flip it for about $3,000.
It's sold. It's sold out it sells out in like 2 seconds. By the way, and Sean
very lucky.
Always usually tells me about him, but he didn't tell me until this time. He didn't tell me until after it happened, and he sent me a screenshot.
You were in Boca.
He got the bag. He got the I was in Boca. I was actually probably riding in a car. I would have had nothing to do but just look at the website and buy it right when you bought it too, but whatever. So the funny part of that though is that he's got this bag. He buys the bag on Scotty Cameron.
Yep.
You can turn around and flip it. $500 bag for $3,000, right? Like Scotty Cameron is not technically doesn't allow this. Sorry if Scotty watches this. Sorry that
Scotty.
he did this. Don't ban him from your site.
Yeah.
And definitely don't ban me because I'm not trying to resell it. I'm just trying to hold it. I won't resell it.
No.
In fact, if you want to give me special access, I'm good with that because I won't sell it.
That's right. We'll take one of those $10,000 putters.
So he puts it on. I mean, every time they drop though, we're trying to get like whether it's a $10,000 putter or $3,000. I don't care.
Or
if
a head
it's
cover, a
10,000.
T-shirt, like everything.
I'll buy it. I'll buy it because you can turn around and sell it for more for sure. So he buys the bag for $495 and a couple other things, and he puts it on Facebook group that's got like 10,000 members. It's called like Scotty Cameron Buy, Sell, Trade, whatever. And he doesn't even have the product yet, but he's posting it like got this bag for sale for $3,000. And listen, we live in a capitalistic world, like country, anyways. Maybe not world, but country. And some douchebag says, you're part of the problem. And then somebody else says, report this guy to Scotty Cameron. Here's the email. And the other guy says, done. Screenshot, send it in. It's like, dude, come on, man. He's just trying to feed his kids. Like,
trying to buy a new house.
What?
Yeah.
You're a hater. You're a hater. You get on Scotty Cameron and buy it then when it drops, and then you can
Meanwhile,
have it
the
for
first
retail.
guy was trying to sell a polo that he bought for $100. He was trying to sell for $200. I go, aren't you doing the same exact
the
shit?
same guy that was giving him shit for marking it up and resell, whatever. He did the same thing with a polo. He bought for 100, tried to sell it for 2, you know, just because the markup is better on the bag. So yeah, there are ways, guys, to have hobbies and still make money with it, but those hobbies are typically expensive hobbies, and we go back all the way to the beginning. You got to suck shit for a while. Like you just got.
You need that nest egg in order to fund those hobbies, typically.
And in the beginning too, and I actually paid at the time $10,000 for Grant Cardone to basically call me a little bitch in his office. He said, he was like, "What makes you the most money out of all the things that you're doing right now?" And I was like, "Insurance." And he was like, "Don't do anything but that for like the next 12 months. Fuck everything else." He was like, "Still hang out with your family every once in a while, but like, don't, unless you're reading a book to learn about insurance, don't do it. Unless you're like going on a jog with other people that you can sell insurance to, like, don't do it." And I went all in for that given year. It probably lasted a little bit over a year. I still cheated every once in a while playing some racquetball.
Yeah, man. Yeah. You're human.
For the yeah, right. I'm always going to break that. But for the most part, I did that. I wasn't focused on like the pennies I was making flipping a Pokemon card.
Right.
When I could be on the phone making dials that'll pay me, you know, $200 or $300 a dial.
Yeah.
So that's where the balancing act comes into play. When you start to get a level of success where you could buy a $10,000 putter and then flip it if you want to, or play with it, that's even better. Like I'll buy a watch or a pair of Yeezys and I'll rip it out of the box. And I put them on my feet, and Meg's like, "I thought you were selling."
You put the Pokemon cards on your feet?
Yeah.
That's weird.
I put the Rolex and the Yeezys on.
Yeah. I get in trouble for keeping my Yeezys now. I'm told I have too many.
Like, go all in on what makes you the most money first.
Right.
And, like, stop dicking around with all this other crap until you're able to. And then it's fun, right? You're not stressing because Squirtle didn't sell on eBay for $50. You know what I mean?
Sold Charmander.
You could easily wear a pair of Yeezys, though. You could easily buy a pair of Yeezys, wear them, and this is the same thing with the Rolex or anything. I mean, a Rolex, you can buy it, then sell it for more money than you paid for it down the road, whatever. But I mean, you could buy a pair of Yeezys for 200. What do they drop for? 225 retail, 220 retail.
250 with shipping.
Buy them for 220 retail. You know, 250 with shipping. You wear them for a month, but you take care of them because they're nice, and then you sell them used for freaking $150. Like, and that's a deal on the used Yeezys. So, you know, they hold their value. You buy nice shit that keep it nice, and it holds value, and that's important.
Clean them.
Biggest lesson: don't buy cheap shit because your spend. We're gonna get sued by somebody. You're spending at like Kohl's or whatever, right? Not knocking people that shop at Kohl's. Like I used to have to shop at Kohl's, right? But you going there or Walmart or whatever, that T-shirt is worth negative cents, right? You could yard sale it later. But if you buy like Kanye's new drop and people are like, "Oh, it's a $70 T-shirt," yeah, but I could sweat in it and sell it for $60 later if I needed to. I spent less than your $15 bullshit cardboard Walmart T-shirt.
I was wondering where you got that shirt you had on. Is it a Kanye shirt? That's from his latest drop?
This is us. And they do not sponsor me, but they should because I name drop them on every freaking podcast I'm on. It is like the best T-shirt brand ever.
Brad's a built guy.
Here's the deal, though. I just ordered cuts. I'm switching to cuts. I told Medicare Bob this at Medicare Con. You know, love built. I mean, when they first came out, I started buying their shirts. I noticed the quality kind of went down, and so I'm switching to cuts because they are more expensive, and you know they do last a little bit longer, or a little bit better, or whatever. So, and also, Built didn't fucking email me back when I tried to return something. I'm like, how like
customer service people.
I emailed them back. I emailed them to try to return it. My wife got me these pants, and every time I wear them. And I think I'm bringing them to SWAT, so you guys will have a chance to make fun of me there or tell me they're great. I don't know. But I ordered these pants, and they're so damn tight that every time I wear them, people are like, "Are those spandex? Are you wearing some girls' jeans?" I'm like, no, they're not joggers. They're not the joggers. But they could look like joggers. But I'm like, dude, I just have thunder thighs, man. I got thick thighs, okay? Thick thighs save lives. And I tried to return them, and they didn't get back to me on email. So I'm like, surely I have a lot of followers on Instagram. Surely if I, message them on Instagram and, whatever, message them on Instagram, literally I could see where it's seen and no response. I'm like, dude, fuck these guys. Like, I'm ordering Cuts from now on. So Cuts, if you're watching, we love you. We don't need free shirts because we do make some good money, but you know, we'd love a sponsorship deal, maybe a
discount code or something,
affiliate marketing link, a discount code, you name it. Sign us up. Yeah, sign us up. Awesome, man. Well, hey, listen, as we close this out, I want to let people know, not my people, but any other people that maybe want to work with you. Anybody that would like to find Pete Fournier, where the hell do you find Pete Fournier?
Yep, I'm Peter J. Fournier, Fournier, like it says right there.
There you go.
On pretty much all social media. You can go to PeteFournier.com if you don't necessarily want to come to All Things Insurance, but you want me to train the ever-living shit out of you. I got a bunch of coaching products and stuff like that on the website, whether it's one-on-one to buying the playbook to whatever. Let me know. And if you own an agency, I have a new product out. It's a 2-day sales overhaul where we spend a whole day on reviewing what you're doing now and then fix what's busted. And I actually come to your office to do that. So
very cool.
You'll see me and Hannon, at SWAT?
Yeah, man. Yep, a couple weeks. Got to get those slides in tomorrow.
No, Nate, man. If you're watching this, you're a pain in the ass.
Love you, Nate. Love you, Nate.
We love you. We love you.
And before we let you go, Pete, I got to ask you a question. I've always brought it up the first time I saw you. And now you bring up the fact that you're into music and all this stuff, you performing arts. Are you or are you not related to Robin Thicke?
I am not. Although you said that, and I was in a Medicare shit like 2 weeks ago, and they were like, "You look like somebody." I was like, "Michael Phelps," and they were like, "No." And I was like, "Jim Carrey." Sometimes I get, and they were like, "No."
Jim Carrey, give me a fucking break.
Told me that the other day. I was like, "Ugh, insult." I love that guy. Jeez. So the wife like goes and gets her little like droid. There it is.
There it is.
It's close.
Goes and gets her droid and pulls up Robin Thicke, and I was like, well, I'll take that, I guess.
That's right. That's right.
I mean, it's good. That's a good doppelganger. I mean, you're a little more salt and pepper than he is.
Well, especially
but I'm sure
the blurred lines video too, where he's got the aviators on in the suit with the low button shirt. I'm like, that's a Pete Fournier thing if I've ever seen one in my life.
You're going to break it down at the SWAT after party, too.
Exactly.
Let's see.
If you guys are coming to SWAT while Hannon is doing this, please bring cash for me, Hannon, and Nate, and Sean, so we can take it from you on the simulator.
Oh, absolutely. That's a Peter J look, especially on the camera right now. It's a little blurred. So, like,
blurred lines, baby.
Yeah, it's perfect. I love it, man. Well, hey, dude, it's always a lot of fun. I guess I'll be seeing you, or not guess, I can't wait to see you in a couple weeks. Looking forward to that. Got to see you a couple weeks ago, so it's about time we're back on the circuit, running into each other more often. It's great to have you on the podcast. Everybody knows where to find you. You're all over the place. I wish you nothing but great success in the new venture, as I know you'll have. But thanks for coming on, and let's go get back after it.
Thanks so much, bro. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, buddy.